Hello, my name is Susan Piver. I'm a writer and longtime practitioner and teacher of Buddhism. I've come to see that many people think of Buddhism and meditation practices associated with it, like mindfulness, as ways to reduce stress. But I would like to tell you that the Buddhist path is far more rich than that. It is a way to wake up, to become liberated from suffering. And forget about enlightenment, it's also a way to live your everyday life more fully and meaningfully. This podcast is to share with you classical Buddhist teachings that I have found enormously beneficial, and also to tell stories from my own life about how I applied and misapplied these teachings. And I do want to tell you from my more than 30 years of experience that the Dharma is real, and it provides an extraordinarily nuanced, profound, and pragmatic guidebook to living a life of wisdom, compassion, and courage.
I'm leaving today for Colorado to teach a meditation and writing retreat over 4 days. And this is one of my very favorite things to teach. And it happens to be at my very favorite retreat center, Trauma Mountain Center in northern Colorado. And I got the idea for this retreat some years ago when I was on retreat myself as a student. It was a 1-month meditation retreat where we sat every day from about 7 in the morning till 9 at night with breaks for meals and so on. But it was a very intensive meditation experience. And I was really scared because I'm like, who can do that? Who can sit for that many hours a day? But it turned out to be one of the most joyful experiences of my life. And during the final week of the retreat, I had requested special permission to leave the retreat container, as it's called, for a few hours each day because I was on a book deadline. And if I couldn't take some time in that final week to write, I would miss my deadline and therefore I couldn't have done the retreat at all. So they kindly said yes. And instead of sitting for like 7 hours a day, maybe I sat for 5.5 or something. So there was still plenty of sitting and plenty of writing in my case. And I remember walking back to rejoin the program towards the end of this final week with a sense of great ease and contentment and joy and satisfaction. I was sitting a lot. I was writing a lot. And in my normal, everyday, non-retreat life, I struggle to practice for 20, 30, 40 minutes a day and write 500 words a day, maybe 1,000 on a really good day, which is a lot for me because I'm not particularly prolific. And here in this particular setting, I was sitting for hours and writing thousands of words with a sense of flow and traction and ease and discovery. And on this particular walk, I thought, why is this happening so easily? Why am I able to sit and sit and sit and write and write and write? And P.S., each time I sat down to write, I had no trouble resuming. I picked up exactly where I left off. And my creativity felt very alive. And my next thought was, well, it can't just be me for whom this would work, this combination of meditation and writing. And so I began teaching retreats. And indeed, so far anyway, and I've taught it dozens of times, it is not just me for whom it works. There's something about this combination of meditation and writing and a particular schedule that gives rise to flow. Now, coming to our actual theme of this week's podcast, it's the first principle in my new book, Inexplicable Magic, Meditation for Mystics, which I talked about in the last episode, which discusses 7 principles of spiritual practice. And the first is we engage in daily ritual. So on a meditation retreat or any kind of retreat, you are involved in ritual. It has nothing to do with religion and everything to do with sequence and schedule and consistency. So as I've thought about it over the years, I boiled down the 3 components of this consistency that create a sense of ritual. I'm fixing to tell you what they are right now. In Buddhism, these three aspects are called the three jewels. And should one ever become a Buddhist formally, which one never has to do, by the way, the ceremony by which one does this is called taking refuge. You take refuge in three things, three jewels that turn out also to be the three aspects of ritual that create a container for your spiritual journey to unfold. And again, I just want to say this again, nobody has to be a Buddhist to have these three things. The first jewel is called Buddha. Buddha here doesn't mean a historic figure who woke up. It means wakefulness itself. Buddha means awake. So the first jewel, the first refuge, the first practice is your own wakefulness. The second jewel is called dharma, which means wisdom or path or way, provides an extraordinary refuge. Anyone who has discovered their own dharma will tell you this. And the third jewel turns out to be the most important, although it may not sound that way at first, is called sangha, or community. To do this with other people, to practice wakefulness, to contemplate wisdom within community is what brings the whole thing together. The first two, by the way, Buddha, awake, and dharma, wisdom, sound like the whole thing. And they are obviously deeply important. But without this third piece, without some sense of community, as you practice wakefulness and contemplate wisdom, it never really takes root. I find that very interesting myself, and explains, in addition, why a retreat works. Whether you think you can sit there for 6 or 7 or 2 hours or not, whether you think you want to spend time contemplating your life and your journey or not, when these three jewels are present, it unfolds. Now we can bring these three jewels into our daily practice to create ritual. So most often when we think about, well, I'd like to have a meditation practice, or how do I make that happen? How do I create consistency? We think, well, I'll just better make myself sit there. And that's all I can really do. And if I don't make myself sit there, then I'm a loser. I don't have discipline. I have resistance. Okay, maybe you are a loser. Maybe you lack discipline. I doubt it. But those are not the reason that it's hard to be consistent in spiritual practice. The reason is, I posit to you, we only bring in 2 of the 3 jewels. When we sit down to meditate, we are establishing and reestablishing connection with our own wakefulness. That's what meditation is. You're remembering you're awake. You're seeking to create a deeper connection to your inherent wakefulness. So jewel number 1, check. You got that one. You don't have to worry about it. Every time you sit, it's there. The second jewel, dharma, many of us bring in intuitively by reading books about the practice, watching videos about it, journaling about our practice, introducing some note of contemplation of what unfolds through our practice, because guaranteed you'll start to notice things. You feel more, you cry more, you are less triggered, you're more patient. Whatever it is, we start to notice things as a result of our spiritual practice. And that noticing counts as contemplation, as dharma. So you got the first 2 jewels, Buddha and dharma. And as mentioned, most of us stop there and then wonder, why does the practice start to wither? Because the truth is, and anyone who tells you otherwise, I'm not sure what they're doing, but I'm pretty sure they're not meditating. The truth is that eventually meditation practice becomes difficult and boring. And I'm just going to tell you that straight up. At which point, most of us would go, well, this isn't working, or it's not for me, or that initial excitement is gone. I'd better find the next thing. No, no, no. When it becomes difficult and boring, that's when it starts to get interesting, even though boring and interesting are the opposite. I realize that. But you have worn out the effort to entertain yourself through your meditation practice. And that's why I say it gets interesting at that point. Because when you give up your ambitions and agendas, all of which I'm sure are quite well placed, there's a chance for something fresh and new to arise. But first, we got to sort of wear ourselves out. Now, without this third jewel, this third piece, we just remain kind of exhausted by our effort. The third piece, as mentioned, sangha, other people. When we practice with others, whether we're in the same room with them or the same universe or not, we know they're there. We know others have done this. We feel connected to a tradition, a way, a philosophy, a community. The whole thing begins to take root and blossom. Don't take my word for that or anything. But this is why retreats work. Whether the teacher's great or ordinary, whether the topic is fascinating or not, when you connect with your wakefulness, when you contemplate the journey, and when you do this in companionship, it unfolds. Again, that's why you can sit on retreat for hours, but at home you might struggle for 10 minutes. At least I do. These three jewels are not just the three components of retreat, they are the components of ritual. So in your spiritual practice, whatever it may be, please be conscious of bringing these three aspects into your daily practice. First one, you don't have to worry about. Whatever your meditation practice is, you are making the effort to connect with your wakefulness. So you have that one. It really helps to also spend time, whether it's a few minutes or longer, to reflect on your experience of meditation today. It was boring. It was interesting. I think I might have noticed something, or when is this going to work? Or I read this thing. How does that relate? To spend some time thinking about the results of your practice, making note of them, whether you write them down or just make mental notes. To contemplate brings in the second jewel, dharma. You could also just read something or watch something that relates to your spiritual practice that will spark additional contemplation. Very, very useful. And then we need to bring in this third piece, other humans, sangha, community. So most of us practice alone on a daily basis. That's fine. You can still rouse the sense of companionship in any number of ways. You can be part of an online community. You're invited to be in mine, the Open Heart Project. We sit together every day, live. But if you can't join live, I send out a meditation video, and there are thousands of people who use these videos. So whether you're doing it in real time with others or not, there's a sense of community. And even if you don't know any of these other people, we make a community, you and me, a community of two. You get instruction, and we sit together, whether it's in real time or not. It rouses the sense of togetherness. Very important. You could also sit with a friend virtually. You can say to your friend, hey, friend, let's sit together tomorrow at 7 for 15 minutes. We'll just text each other, hi, bye. But we'll know we're doing this together. That counts. We need each other to create a sense of being anchored in our practice. So please, for your ritual, think about bringing in these three aspects, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And my book, Inexplicable Magic, goes into more detail about this and other principles. So I'm very excited. It'll be out soon, I believe. I'm self-publishing it, so that's why I say I believe. Anyway, it's supposed to be on June 1st. And it will be by phone. So in this episode, I'm very happy to resume the podcast After Party, which has been part of previous episodes. And I want to bring to your attention the great, inimitable, beautiful, powerful, mystical, is that enough of a drum roll? Pops Staples, a great guitar player and singer and band leader. His band, which was his family, the Staples Singers, had hits in the 70s, maybe the early 80s too. His daughter, one of his daughters, Mavis Staples, still tours, and if you ever can go see her, you 100% should. Pop Staples, and the song I want to play you is from a gospel album that the Staples Singers recorded, I think in the late 50s. And the track is called Uncloudy Day, sometimes called Unclouded Day. Uncloudy Day has been sung in many Black churches across the U.S., maybe elsewhere, for decades. And just as you might imagine, it's about dreaming of sunshine and light and the disappearance of storms and difficulty. Uncloudy Day. It's beautiful. Among the many things that make it extraordinarily beautiful, and for me, the primary thing, in addition, of course, to Mavis Staples, is the guitar playing of Pops Staples. Now, it's cliche, as I have learned among guitar players, which I am not, to talk about tone, guitar tone. Man, his tone is awesome. Wow, her tone is incredible. Wow, guitar tone, 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 tone. Though it may be cliche among guitar players, it is not cliche among guitar and non-guitar players to say that the tone of Pops Staples' guitar playing is exceptional, epic, mesmerizing, hypnotic, and as I think Bob Dylan described it, one of the most mysterious things he'd ever heard. So I don't have to say too much more about it. You'll hear it and you'll get exactly why all these words have been used to describe the tone of Pops Staples. You can listen to it for the rest of your life, and you will never hear the complete depth of this combination of player, playing, meaning, and tone, in my humble opinion. Also, a very little known fact about Uncloudy Day. It's my cell phone ringtone. I love it so much, and I don't love getting phone calls necessarily. I love that every call is introduced by Pops. So please enjoy listening. Come back next week when I'll talk about principle number 2 of Inexplicable Magic, which is the personal, you, my friend, is not an obstacle. It is the way. Talk to you then.
Oh, they tell me, oh, where no stone clouds rise. Oh, they tell me, oh, far away, so far away. Whoa, they tell me, whoa, where no stone clouds rise. Whoa, whoa, they tell me, whoa, when I'm cloudy day. Oh, yes, oh, yes, they tell me,
Lord, they tell me
oh,
now.
yes, they tell
I got a
me, so
home,
yes,
got a home
they tell me,
beyond the
oh,
sky.
yes, they tell me.
Well, oh,
Oh, yes, they tell me.
oh, they tell me.
Oh, yes, they tell me.
Whoa,
Yes, oh, yes, they
far, far away.
Yes, oh, yes, they
Tell
tell me.
me, yeah.
Oh, yes, they tell me.
Lord, they tell me now.
Oh, yes, they
Well, no storm,
oh, yes,
well, no
they
storm,
tell me.
cloud rise.
They tell me.
Well, in a world, cloud in